Hi, everyone, and good evening. And welcome to our presentation tonight. And thanks for taking time out of your day to join us this evening. My name is Brenda Moynihan, and I'm the Director of Marketing and Outreach here at the Kensington Assisted Living Residence. Tonight's presentation is How to Celebrate the Holidays During COVID, Part 2, December Celebrations. So this is for everyone who's celebrating the December holidays of Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, the winter solstice. Whatever you celebrate, we want you to be healthy, safe, but we want you to have fun. And before I introduce our speakers tonight, I'd like to briefly give you some information about the Kensington. So the Kensington is an enhanced assisted living, and we're located in White Plains, New York. We are committed to providing outstanding care every day with a full spectrum of clinical support, including caring for those with dementia such as Alzheimer's disease. We encourage independence and confidence and focus on making each individual feel important. Our promise is to love and care for your family as we do our own. And if you'd like some more information about the Kensington, please feel free to go to our website at www.thekensingtonwhiteplains.com or call us at 914-390-0080. And now I'd like to give you some information about our speakers. They are Barbara Newman-Mannix and Adrian Geiger. And I'd like to read their brief bios. Barbara Newman-Mannix is the founder and CEO of A Dignified Life. A Dignified Life develops and navigates care plans with elders and family members. They assess safety, living conditions, cultural influences, socioeconomic and family dynamics to identify a comprehensive care plan that addresses specific needs. Their plans have specific objectives, goals, and actions designed to meet these needs as identified in the assessment process. They provide care management and interventions that lead to accomplishing the goals set forth. They also specialize in end-of-life and long-distance caregiving with an emphasis on executive and C-suite services, chronic illness, and dementia care. And Barbara is certified as a caregiver coach and family life educator. Welcome, Barbara. Adrian Geiger. Adrian is the Director of Family Advocacy at A Dignified Life. Adrian has over 15 years experience with corporate management, research and planning in the merchandising and retail arena. Today with A Dignified Life, she supports her clients, helping them navigate the journey of aging, stressing safety, quality of life, and dignity. So ladies, it's all yours.
Hello and good evening. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you all for attending our holiday presentation tonight. It's such a tough time for us to be adapting to not only new customs, but to an entire mindset since our family gatherings have been altered and put into question. But above all, I would like to thank Brenda Moynihan and Christiane Lee and the entire Kensington organization for inviting us to bring this information to you tonight. I credit Brenda for doing everything for our community to keep our spirits and our communication up and be a consistent light in all of this. What I think it's a little dim. I choose not to believe darkness. So we'll bring it to you as happy and as joyful as we possibly can. And I turn these lightness over to Adrian, and she's going to talk to us about some highlights, please.
Thanks, Barbara. Thank you, Brenda, also. Well, these December holidays have always been part of our family traditions. Things look different this year. And we're going to talk about how to light it up, how to light the season up with a new twist for Hanukkah, Christmas, and Kwanzaa. We're going to mix religious and cultural celebrations, and try and stress what to do and what your options are. During these different times, very unique times, we are challenged to reconsider our long-held philosophies and traditions. And this can be especially true about religious and spiritual beliefs. But actually, in times of crisis, this may be the exact moment that we hold and gather these beliefs closer than usual. We need them to help us cope and search for answers. We're all going through separation blues, but we are going to discuss how to celebrate each of these holidays that cross over spiritually and culturally. And Barbara's going to start with some suggestions about Hanukkah and Christmas. I'll take up for Kwanzaa, and then we'll interact. So Barbara?
Great. Okay, so this year Hanukkah starts next week on the 10th and runs through the 18th. So that means that we should start thinking about celebrating now. How are we going to celebrate those 8 nights? You know, there's always been a lot of creativity with Hanukkah and cultural association with food. But as you're planning your celebrations this year, we really do need to still keep the CDC guidelines in mind. We had a change in one today. So if you are in a situation where you need to quarantine, the quarantine days have been now reduced from 14 to 10. But that's still 10 days. So it's essentially the entire length of Hanukkah plus 2. But you just don't want to increase your family's risks. So outdoor celebrations are still, I mean, I had lunch outside today. It was 42 degrees. There were lamps. And it was delightful. And I really have to say that people are doing a wonderful job with all sorts of decorations. It's highly festive. Music is playing. People are putting blankets out. So if you are outdoors, bring things that are part of your traditions outside. But you must keep social distance as well if you're having people from outside your bubble. So I'm going to go through 6 quick tips that will give us some inspiration. So unfortunately, you still have to limit your guest list, but you want to keep your gatherings outdoors and more brief than they were before. So rather than rotate in different groups of friends and loved ones, better to stick to the same crew throughout the holiday. But maybe what you do is in your bubble, say you do have 10 people in your bubble, 2 on Tuesday, 3 on Wednesday. And that way you're rotating everything and you sort of, you know, build on that. And if you're going to do it with all the same people, then everybody knows from one day to the next who's been with whom. Pick quarantine friendly gifts. Opt for gifts that'll help make your time this winter more cozy and warm. Fuzzy socks, warm blankets, as we were talking about, good books, fun games, or even a clever mug. Share goodies with friends. Even if you aren't able to get together, you can still enjoy the same treats and Hanukkah recipes. Drop over to share a sweet treat like rugula or jelly donuts, which Adrian, you have to help me with pronunciation. Sufgantoi, if that's
Okay, fine.
Is that okay? Okay. Somebody in the Q&A will tell me how to
I'm
say
sure.
that. Okay. Hanukkah gelt. I mean, what is Hanukkah without Hanukkah gelt? And they're always individually wrapped.
Mm-hmm.
And just things to keep on keeping brighter. This is my favorite. Declare jamaka. So have a Zoom pajama party. And or if you're going to have a get together, that you come in your pajamas so that you can really kick off the first night. You know, sometimes families dress up in the same pajamas. We've done that in past years, and then you'll have these wonderful pictures to show. If you're planning your celebration and you're going to use a menorah, don't blow the candles out in a gust. So look for modern LED versions if you're going to have that outside, and just be careful with that. You'll probably still want to share classic dishes like latkes and brisket and kugel and matzo ball soup. serving matzo ball soup outside. Could you think of anything more wonderful than a great blanket, a mug of matzo ball soup, and then you get to take your mug home as your Hanukkah gift? I'm doing that for sure. I'm doing that. And then if you can do breakfast for dinner, you can also get have your PJs, challah French toast, which of course we love. My mother used to make challah French toast for dinner for breakfast with chopped liver. I know it sounds crazy. It is absolutely delicious. And yes, with a little tiny bit of maple syrup. It's fabulous. And sweet noodle kugel and melted chocolate gelt. So there's, you can make s'mores with chocolate gelt. That's perfect size to unwrap the gelt, stick it on your marshmallow, and, there you have it. And most of all, this is so hard, but if we're kind to ourselves and we're kind to each other, and we really start to make these new memories, I think that, sometimes gelt doesn't get eaten in my house, but everyone eats s'mores. So if we just sort of like bring that into an annual routine and say, remember what Hanukkah was like? And we started this tradition in 2020, and we kept on going on from there. So thank you, and I appreciate. And Adrian is now going to talk to you about some religious traditions and services.
Adrian, before you go, I have to say, first of all, you're making me hungry. That's the first thing, right? And the second, I applaud you for having lunch outside in 46 degrees. And that's a great
42, Brett.
42 degrees. But that's a great thing for our viewers and our listeners, that you can still celebrate, that if you can have lunch outside in 42 degrees, you can still celebrate. So that was a good addition.
And the restaurant was serving a whole array of alcoholic and non-alcoholic hot drinks. Mm-hmm. They had lamps. They had blankets draped on the back of every single chair outside. They must have had, and they had a very good part of the sidewalk, they must have had 8 tables outside with 8 lamps and social distance. Actually, most tables had 2 lamps on either side. And it was delightful. I actually felt like I was in a festive, village or something. And I actually said to my friend, I feel like I'm in Europe. It was wonderful.
Good. Great.
Adrian?
Yep, here I go. Well, we were always talking about holidays in December and what are our traditions, what's religious, what's secular, what's the crossover. There's tremendous crossover. But now we have to think about safety, and we have to think about if we are alone, how to make it that we're not alone. And so we need to reimagine and share these celebrations. Be with your friends, as Barbara said, small gatherings, know who's in your group. And don't despair. You think of options and new traditions. If you take it slow and you honor your feelings, it'll all be okay. I truly believe this. And religious services and prayers are available to you as a family, with friends, or by yourself. So try to watch some on television, on Zoom, on the internet, listen to the radio, and if possible, for yourselves, try to include meditation with your prayers. This also is available on the internet. So whether you're alone or with people, bring that spirituality together. It doesn't have to be religious. It has to be just all-encompassing good vibrations. That's what's important. We were going to talk, I was laughing about Barbara's menus and things like that, and saying, oh my God, wouldn't it be great to just share recipes and talk about failures of recipes? I mean, let's melt that gelt and then see what really happens. And then we'll have all new memories, and that's the way to do it. And that's ways of sharing things. Barbara will talk about additional Christmas ideas and craft kits and things like that. But I thought I'd talk about Kwanzaa because that's a little new. It's a much newer holiday than usual.
Tips? You have some more tips, don't you?
My meal tips and my craft tips and my making. Yes, I have many.
Please give them.
I get carried away. Well, let's talk about the craft tips. Whether you're doing them at home by yourself or you used to do it with your family, now's the time to prepare the kits, get them shipped early or drop them off. And perhaps you can do that with a family member, Zooming it, or do it yourself. The family member is doing it themselves, and let's compare whether it's a craft decoration, which would be beautiful to hang on a tree, to put outside safely, a placemat, or let's talk about doing puzzles. Let's talk about what are your traditions. I like Barbara's pajama party. So what did you do that morning? So while you're eating, let's read a poem together. Let's read a book together. Let's have grandma or grandpa read that child's book to the younger person in the family. Or maybe it's not a younger person any longer, but that book means so much and you keep it with you. There's songs, there's dancing. Brenda and I always laugh. If we start singing, people will leave. But when you do it on a Zoom, it sounds really, really good. So that's my idea. Just whatever was your tradition, figure out a new way to do it remotely, safely, and compare successes, compare failures, whatever. You'll laugh a lot. I'm sure we will all be laughing a lot.
I'm going to say that we're putting together a holiday cookbook, and we started in September. And, you know, when you don't have the opportunity to get that, and I loved my grandmother's recipes because there were no measurements, you know,
Right.
a handful of this and a palm full of that and all that kind of stuff.
My mother schmeared. That was the recipe. You schmear.
But also, you know, we're a mixed marriage. And so now we have these Christmas recipes and these Christmas traditions where we've mixed those books together. And so if it's the hot mulled wine that my husband's family always had, and our, as I'm saying, matzo ball soup with, you know, outside or whatever, but you can also put pictures of past years when you've sent, when you've prepared those things together to really personalize the difference between this year. And it could, as I said, could be a new tradition. So anyway.
Well, we were also talking about recipes. And again, if it's remote, let's watch somebody make the matzo soup. Let's do that. And then that could be a video or a disc or whatever that you do keep together, and it becomes a live cooking show. Martha Stewart will have nothing on your aunt. This is the way to do it. And this is the way to keep family memories alive.
So I'm going to talk about a few ways to celebrate Christmas without Zoom. I mean, we've been Zooming. So this Christmas, it may be hard to feel, not to feel a little grinchy, but as we've been talking about, we're going to flip the glass and it's always going to be half full. And so if we look forward to, say, New Year's, and we look to ways to find some fun this holiday season without looking at coronavirus, because that could be synonymous with Zoom, and looking at each other's faces and looking at each other's smiles. So our first tip is to prioritize the traditions that matter most to you. Think of what the essence of the holiday is for you, and so you can try and preserve it. So if you're not doing anything that you used to do, then set up new traditions. If you use the same decorations every year, say you use white lights and red bows. Okay, fine. Now use red lights and white bows. I mean, something that completely mixes it up. And again, everything old that's new again? No, make everything new that's new again. And you really might bump into a new tradition that really provokes something for your family. Also, do your gift giving, your gift shopping early. Most people are shopping online, and we've been shopping online for a long time now. I did hear today that UPS is not taking deliveries from certain retailers. So, and I don't know why, but I did see that come across my screen just before we got on this call tonight. So if you are ordering from specific retailers, make certain that they're going to deliver and they're going to pick up, because the last thing you want is to do something early and then find it frustrating. So you may have to buy it and ship it through USPS as opposed to shipping it through UPS. So you just make certain that you shop on early online. Instead of having an indoor tree, have an outdoor tree, or even better, have both. But if you have an outdoor tree, you can carol. Like we're used to going around and caroling in our neighborhood. Maybe now we carol on our lawn, and by the second or third night that we're caroling on our lawn, people are coming to us rather than us going to them. That way we can social distance it. And, you know, I mean, I know in our town, we have a menorah and a Christmas tree set up on either, you know, right next to each other in the village square. And there are, you know, of course, it's different timing for the different holidays, but on the 18th, if you started caroling when Hanukkah is over, this can, you know, carry over for the next week into Christmas. But it just establishes a greater sense of community, a bigger sense of community. You're outdoors, and it's a wonderful time.
There were concerts being given just now. They were showing Lincoln Center.
Yes.
Everyone is singing but masked. I'm going to throw that in.
Yes.
Keep that mask on.
Right.
But then you can sing and you can be right near your family. Or if they're singing in front of Barbara's house, maybe next door, we'll start their song and you can do round robins of singing.
Exactly. Again, I know that this is a crazy idea, but we've been doing it. Christmas drive-in. We've been having drive-ins around our neighborhood. People have been, our first neighbor that did this early in the pandemic in the spring. You can plan, and I wish I could tell you the intricacy of it, but I'll get the information to Brenda. You can plan by having an AM radio station. Or you can actually send dial-in information for the audio, and you can be in your car like a drive-in. And we've set up screens around our neighborhoods, and we've each had, it's limited to 4 or 5 cars that can actually see the screen, drive into the driveway, and have drive-ins. So if you served hot chocolate and you had a drive-in in your yard, I mean, what better way to, you know, you have your blankets bundled up. So,
by the way, I love that idea. Love that idea.
I'm telling you, Brenda, the first time that we saw one of our neighbors having a drive-in, and it was a mom friend of mine from the PTO, and my kids are 23. So I hadn't seen Margaret literally in years. And we were driving down the street, and I was like, oh my God, Margaret, what a fabulous idea. She said, go home, get your popcorn, and come back. And I said to my daughter, I don't care what we're doing right now. We're going back. And we went back, and we were able to, and we had an intermission, and everybody was spaced. It was sensational. So why not bring a thermos, bring a blanket, and do it again?
Absolutely.
Let's see. We're avoiding indoors. This is getting a little repetitious. I apologize, but there are only so many things that you can do. Let's see, Zoom fatigue. Secret Santa, a Secret Santa scavenger hunt outside. I mean, you can buy, first of all, have your hand warmers with you. So you give hand warmers out to everyone. And I don't know if you know about geocache, but you can do Christmas scavenger hunt geocache. So depending upon how elaborate you want to be, you can do it in the daytime. I mean, we happen to live in a geocache rich place. So you can do it by the river, you can do it buried in snow, you can do it along a hike, social distancing and masked. And you can get people together, and you know, in a hike situation or in a park situation, you can have time frames. And so you can have people that are coming and picking up where you left off. So say you have 30 things in the course of the day that are hidden, and it takes planning, but this is a non-Zoom activity, and this is an interactive activity. So you can have the first 8 people who are in your bubble are looking for, you know, 8 or 10 pieces of geocache, and then the next people come. So you can sign up for time frames, and you can do that. So again, being in a large space, keeping it socially distanced, keeping things outside. All we really want to do is be bringing joy to people and spreading that joy, regardless of what the actual holiday is that we want to have life and positivity and light, as we're talking about. Every single holiday we're talking about includes light. So
They do. We were also saying Santa leaves gifts, doesn't have to be in the house this year. Santa can leave those gifts right outside your door, right around your Christmas tree outside. Get them quickly, but pick them up. They
right.
can be outside.
One more thing, which I'm glad I didn't forget. So I live in a small town. We've been doing drives. We have a local hospital, dropping off money at the pizza parlor. I have been a great proponent in starting a round robin and dropping pizza off at the pharmacy. Our pharmacies right now are not only so crazy busy because of people being sick, but now they're having drive-in COVID tests. They're having flu shots. I mean, you think about, they are first responders. And so if you can drop 10 pizzas off with 3 neighbors, what is it going to cost you? $10, $15. You drop 10 pizzas off and you've said thank you to a community where they're literally servicing thousands of people. So going to your food bank. Food banks love food. Right now, food banks need money. Mm-hmm. If you live near a local food bank, you cannot believe the lines. The lines of people right now that have not has never been greater. Mm-hmm. So if you can write that check or pick up that bag of pre-packaged groceries when you walk in and you see that shelf and you just put one of those bags in your cart, check it out. They take care of everything for you. They'll take the bag and they put it in the donation box. Anyway, spread the love and the cheer, and as much as you can spare.
We have so much. We don't realize how much we can give away, and we receive so much. And this is the time. Regifting is good. Regifting by financially, or if you received 5 pies, let's drop them off, as Barbara said, to a local store. I received pies last week and dropped them at police stations. There were policemen outside and women, and I said thank you. It's the time to give back. It's the time to remember how much we have, and let's share it. And last but not least, never last, Kwanzaa. I just want to talk about Kwanzaa because it is a relatively new holiday. Kwanzaa was created after the Watts riots in 1965. So it is really new, and it was first celebrated in 66. And it was a way to bring African Americans into the community, to celebrate their culture in the community. And it's celebrated on December 31st, and it has 7 nights of lights. And so we're talking about the lights once again. It's in a candle holder. It does look similar to a menorah, but 7, not 8. And each night has a special meaning because it's celebrating the 7 nights of, and I'm going to do it, I have to read it. It's the opportunity to gather the 7 principles. And if you listen closely, it's not just Kwanzaa, it is what we should all live by. It is unity, self-determination, collective work, responsibility, cooperation, purpose, creativity, and faith. I think that says it all for all holidays and all celebrations. What I like is that they stress that this culture be given to the children, and they can be working on gifts. They stress handmade gifts. Gifts can take a year to create, but it cements the relationships and it promotes the Kwanzaa values. But if we just take it and tweak it, it promotes all of our values. It's so simple. It's just so simple. And as you can see, all of these holidays give us the reason to celebrate and reflect. It's just the time. It's happy, it's joyous, it's great. And we have to say thank you because we are with people near and far that we love, and we have them. We have to remember loss and sadness. But this is a unique time. There will be a time very soon, as Barbara said, we're looking at that light. It's not a train coming at us. It really is a light at the end of a tunnel. And it's just a time to celebrate and be happy and keep going. One thing Barbara and I were just talking about quickly is that now's the time to take little trips. So let's sit down with our family, and we're back to Zooms and the internet, but let's go to the zoo. Let's go to a museum, or let's finally take that fabulous vacation that we don't have to pack for. We don't have to go on a cruise ship, but let's pick the city and let's go there. So it's an opportunity once again to gather and just reimagine what we want. And I'll just, because I'm always the safety crazy person, Barbara knows that and Brenda knows that about me, I can't say it enough. If you are going to be with your loved ones, please remember to wear the mask. It's so simple. It's the easiest way to combat COVID-19. It is not a political statement. It's for safety. It's a way to care for others as well as yourself. And we know, this is my favorite part, it's treat others as you would want others to treat you. This is it. Put it on, you're safe, I'm safe. So I'm wishing everybody well and safe and happiness and joy and to be together. So thank you.
So let's just remember what's different this year, and what's different this year will make it special. You may not exactly remember from year to year, but when something different does happen, it sticks out. So if things go awry, or as Adrian said, they go wrong, keep a sense of humor. It's an exceptional holiday season. Will probably be more memorable than it is different when we stop and we think back about it. So we just have to find our way to make the most of it.
Make a new memory.
Wonderful, ladies. Thank you. Before we take some questions, I just wanted to say, Adrian, I really like what you said about Kwanzaa and the values that they can go across all different cultures, all the celebrations that we're talking about can accept all of the Kwanzaa values, right?
It's true. And it's such a young holiday, and it came out of chaos. It really was born out of chaos. Look at how new it is that, well, I'm so young, but we can relate to it. And it's just intergenerational, intercultural, interreligious. It's just values that we should all just, there's a new craft item. Let's have all 7 values around the seal, around your rafters. It's just great. That's what should hang off a tree.
Right, right.
There's such similarities. That's what's interesting.
And I just want to mention about the geocaching, folks, that Barbara was talking about. So this was really, I guess, really hot about 10, 15 years ago. And there are people that place items all over the world, actually, and they hide them. And if you're part of this, the geocaching, which is the coordinates, and you find it, it's exciting because you found it, right? You've looked for it. But I like what you said about maybe making a new tradition of, and you can make it a holiday. So maybe it's a Hanukkah geocaching where you're hiding Hanukkah treats or Christmas things. But how much fun is that if your group, so you're not together, you're socially distancing, but you're finding those little items. And I love that. Because I love that whole idea of geocaching, I have to tell you.
Well, it's like an Easter egg hunt,
Yes.
but doing it in the snow. That's really what it is.
Exactly. And
Bulk
you
up.
can do that. I don't care what you're celebrating in December. You could do that. Everybody can do that.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So I did want to mention this. I think we had spoken about it. I'm not sure if during part 1 I had mentioned, but last year I took my parents. There are places throughout Westchester County, and I know there's definitely one in White Plains, people that set up lights, but what you were talking about, Barbara, where you can tune into a radio station and hear the music and watch the lights, and they're synced. So the lights are synced to the music, because some people have an unbelievable array of lights, and all you need to do is Google online light shows near me or something like that. But how much fun is that? You can drive, you don't have to even get out of your car, and you listen to the music that matches with the light shows. So much fun.
And just to build on that, if you have not seen your family, you can, just like a drive-by birthday, with the advent of technology. Now you can't be driving when you're talking, but you can actually go and stop at a home, and maybe the grandchildren are in the car in front of you and the grandparents are driving behind, and you can talk about the lights. You can, be pulled over and have a completely interactive conversation and experience.
Great. It's great. Okay, ladies, so let's take some questions. Let's see what we have here. So how do you feel personally about putting up decorations? I think that's a great question. And I have to tell you before you answer, just today, there were 2 people that said to me, I'm not putting up any decorations. And I said, why? It's still the holidays. So how do you personally feel about that?
Oh, I'm going to just run in there. I feel very strongly, and I think you should have started to put them up in October. Barbara knows I have a birthday in January. I declare it a national holiday that does start in October. If it doesn't have to be a house full of decorations, it's what does the holiday mean to you? Bring out your menorah, bring out the Christmas stockings, bring out a stuffed toy, the pajamas, the blanket, whatever makes you happy and brings back that memory. You don't have to go over the top, because maybe it's just you and your spouse or a loved one or 2 children. Just do it. You have to have joy doing it. You just have to. And if you're making your own, then it could really be silly, because I'm all for that as well.
And not only do I agree with Adrian, but this was the look on my face, like a dog that could only hear the whistle. Like, what do you mean not put up decoration?
Put it up.
I'm with you.
Put it up. And don't take it down so quickly. Just keep the celebration going.
Well, actually, one person said to me today, she's putting up the decorations. She's leaving them up until February because nobody's going to visit. She's seeing her husband. So she said, you know what? I'm not going to very quickly take them down like I used to in the past. And
Absolutely. I think that's great.
Well, our family tradition has always been to get our tree on Christmas Eve. And I won't bore you with some of the details that we've had tree shortages in the last 5 to 8 years, and that it's been a little tense at 4 o'clock on Christmas Eve. But we're getting our tree early this year because we're going to be home more.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about, so this is a new tradition for us. So we may find that getting the tree on the 15th is the most wonderful thing we've ever done. And why haven't we done this before? But yeah, oh, no.
Stretch it, make it last. Can't be too happy.
I have another question here. What about getting a COVID test before we get together?
Well, so we've just gone through this for Thanksgiving. My relative was going to travel, which she's 89. We couldn't believe she was going to travel. She was going to meet all the protocol, the test before, the test after, the this, the that. ... Please stay home. Please stay home. We are too close to being in a better place than to risk it now. Now is the time when people are going to start to let their guard down. I'll get a test. I can wait 3 days. I can go to Connecticut and I'll get another test, or Pennsylvania, or this or that. First of all, newsflash, without symptoms in certain states and in certain counties, it's getting harder to get a test. Mm-hmm. So if you go through all of these elaborate plans to get a test before you travel, you may not get an appointment. Very hard to get an appointment now, where before, maybe even a month ago, you could show up to a state or a local testing center. You didn't even need an appointment. Mm-hmm. So now you need an appointment. I think that getting a test is really, unless, God forbid, you're sick, is really a decoy in thinking that you're safe.
And I just wanted to add that test, which is great, especially Brenda, for all your staff and residents, you're interacting with people. Sure. It is a snapshot of that moment. Mm-hmm. This is not to say that the next day, while you're waiting for the results, you have not been exposed to something. So mm-hmm. just follow the guidelines and be smart. Just be smart. That's it.
And do all the little tips and tricks that you've both been talking about. Mm-hmm. Right?
We had a map on on our last presentation. You can go to the cdc.org and you can plug into your actual county. And I know that each county has their own website where you can plug into your town and see the numbers. But the thing that was extraordinary about the one on the cdc.org for your county is that you can adjust for the number of people in a group. And you can see that the way that the statistic registers in this particular graph is based on the chances of someone being positive in the vicinity that you're in. Not that you'll get it, but that you will be in the company of somebody positive.
Right.
Doesn't make sense to me that you would take a chance.
Right. Ladies, or anything else that you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Happy holidays.
Definitely.
Happy holidays. Celebrate.
Absolutely.
Be happy. And it's great to be with you, our bubble. And we will be with more people and just enjoy, seize the moment, right? Carpe diem, seize the day, do it.
Brenda, thank you so much.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you.
That, you know, we get the opportunity and the privilege of being with you and also being with people who know you and respect you, and hopefully everybody shares this information. It's more fun than some of the information that we've discussed on our other meetings where we hope people disseminate it to keep safe. Now, please disseminate this to have fun and enjoy.
Absolutely, absolutely. So everybody, first of all, I want to thank my guests, Adrian and Barbara. Fabulous, fabulous tips and tricks for everyone. And I want to thank you all for joining us this evening. Please stay with us because at the end, we'll actually put up a slide that will have their contact information if you'd like to contact them. I'd also like to thank my colleague, Christiane Lee. She is in the background controlling all of this and putting it live on Facebook. So thank you, Chris. And for those of you, again, who'd like to learn more about the Kensington, please feel free to go to our website. We've got lots of great information, also tips and tricks to enjoy your holiday. And it's www.thekensingtonwhiteplains.com, or please feel free to call us at 914-390-0080. And I wish you all peace and joy this holiday season. Thank you.
To all. Thank you.